rapid ascent or complete collapse? That's probably what's on the line for the Dallas Cowboys tonight against the Los Angeles Chargers.
Choppy calling it the biggest Cowboy regular season game of McCarthy and Dak's career.
Well, I mean, you lose to Kellen Moore, the guy that you may or may not have ran out of town, and you lose back-to-back weeks. There's going to be questions about whether or not it was the right move to move on from Kellen, more questions about the scheme, and then how important was Kellen to Dak's development, especially if your offense plays poorly and they light up the scoreboard and score 27 to 35, it's going to be that's a bad week. That's going to be a hellish bye week.
Yeah, I think when you asked Eatman the question of which loss would be worse, and I think he picked the Chargers, and I just disagree.
I mean, Chargers has less impact on the standings because it's an AFC opponent. There's no tiebreaker. But I think from a mental standpoint, yeah, the San Fran loss, you put all your eggs in the San Fran basket.
Right.
Yeah, I get that.
I think San Fran would be worse.
I think San Fran is a worse loss for the players. I think the Chargers is a worse loss for your coaching staff. Because
your quarterback.
I think the players put a ton on San Francisco and were personally motivated by it. I think the coaching staff is more personally motivated by the Chargers, whereas the players just I don't think they have the same motivation in this game that probably Kellen and Mike McCarthy do. The players, it's hey, we're here, we're ready to go. I mean, we saw last year what happened when the Cowboys players were faced with really locking in and getting up and excited for a game that mattered a ton to their coaching staff. They blew a 2-3 touchdown lead to the Packers on the road.
Yeah, and thank goodness that the Cowboys haven't said anything stupid, and they didn't pull a Sean Payton with Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, that was personal for the Jets when they went into Denver. Thankfully, the Cowboys have been smart. It'll be personal for both sides, but it may not be as much.
How many trick play 1.5 over under that the Chargers pull out tonight?
Over.
Over. This is a great question because I was talking about this over the weekend with somebody. I was like, I bet you every trick play that Kellen Moore has in his bag is coming out. And I bet the same with Mike. If Mike's got a flea flicker in there, it's getting pulled out tonight. They are going to throw everything at each other.
Will they run the San Fran trick play they ran the other night? Which is the one that Detroit ran that same play earlier in the day. Then San Fran ran it that night. Will Kellen and the Chargers run that one tonight?
They got the personnel to do it. Do they have the offensive line to do it? I don't know. This is actually a pretty vulnerable offensive line, it looks like, from what I've seen on tape.
And Bobby and I picked the Chargers to win. Bobby with a little bit more of a blowout. Pepe and Choppy going with the Cowboys. A lot of Tolos picking the Chargers as well.
Yeah, and then, I feel like that tends to happen coming off of a loss. It felt like there were a lot of Patriots picks after the loss to the Cardinals. But look, this is a good football team. Now, let's start with the negative first off, the thing that you can probably feel good about as a Cowboys fan. The offensive line for the Chargers has not been great this year. I mean, they've got some talented players on it. Rashawn Slater is obviously the headliner. That was the guy that the Cowboys felt like when they were picking at 12. They said, all right, we like Micah Parsons and Rashawn Slater. We prefer Parsons, but if somebody scoops him up by some chance when it comes down to our pick at 12, we will take Rashawn Slater. So they liked him a lot. The tackle out of Northwestern, who had an incredible rookie season, was dominant. Last year, he tears his bicep 3 weeks into the season, barely played at all. And since he came back, he's not been great. He's actually struggled quite a bit. Brian and I were talking about this yesterday. Brian was stunned how much pressure he's been giving up, but he's also been dealing with a little bit of an ankle thing. So you've got a guy who missed all of last year, essentially, is dealing with an ankle, might be a little bit more vulnerable in pass protection than he has been in the past. And across that offensive front, Trey Pipkins, Jamari Sawyer, Zion Johnson, they have had some trouble protecting, and it's kept Kellen Moore from doing, I think, a lot of the vertical stuff that he typically likes to do. They have taken some shots downfield, but it's not been a ton. It's funny, when you look at the way Kellen's designed this offense, even though he hasn't had Austin Eckler for most of the season, he will be back for this game. There have been 2 different games this year where Kellen Moore has run the ball 37 plus times. He ran it 37 times against the Raiders in a 7-point game, and he ran it 40 times against the Dolphins in a 2-point loss. And so Kellen has absolutely said, all right, when it's there for me, I'm going to take advantage of it. Now, they barely ran in the other two games. It's kind of been feast or famine for them, but they've had some success running the ball too. They're doing some interesting stuff that I don't know that we saw with Kellen here in Dallas. Specifically, there's a lot of pistol formation, which is it's the quarterback in sort of a half shotgun with the running back behind him, and then they're doing some pitches and some tosses out of that. And the thing that's going to infuriate Cowboys fans, I think, watching this, where it's like, well, where the hell was that, is watching Darius Davis play for them, which is the rookie fourth rounder, wide receiver out of TCU. He's a TCU wide receiver, joystick type player who's 5'8", 165 pounds. Does that sound like anybody that we really wished Kellen would have involved?
Turpin.
Yeah, exactly like Turpin, doesn't it?
Turpin.
Shifty, fast guy, can do a lot of different things. Kellen is doing a ton with him. I mean, he's played 40 snaps, something like that, but his usage rate when he's on the field, he's getting used a lot. He's carrying the ball. They've lined him up in the backfield. Last game against the Raiders, Davis carried the ball 3 times for 50 yards, and he's also got 5 catches this season. They're working the ball to him. They're doing creative things with him. It's all the stuff you would have expected them to do with Turpin. And so the creativity's there, lining up receivers in the backfield. I would guess, given what they've seen on tape with the Cowboys, with Rondell Moore having success in the backfield, the way the 49ers went at them with some of the run stuff, I'm guessing that you're going to see Kellen try to attack some of that today, and that you'll see Darius Davis lined up. You'll see Joshua Kelly, Eckler getting involved. Those are the ways they'll go to him. The receiving game, which Keenan Allen's usage has been absolutely insane. He had something like 20 receptions in week 3.
All curl routes.
He is the guy. He's the guy getting targeted for them, especially because Mike Williams is now out for the season. So you're going to miss Mike Williams. This will be a lot of Keenan Allen. This will be a lot of Quentin Johnston, the voice of God that we had on our show leading up to the draft. Johnston has struggled. The receiving core has really struggled outside of Keenan Allen.
Josh Palmer
has had his struggle. So Palmer, Davis, they haven't played very well. And now that Mike Williams is out, they're going to have to lean on them. It looks like a Kellen Moore offense in terms of how much he loves the tight end usage, though. Gerald Everett has been really good for them in between the 20s. When they get down in the red zone, they like going to Donald Parham, their big 6'8" tight end, who is a guy that is questionable for this game. He's dealing with an injury. It sounds like he's going to play, but he is questionable today. When they get into the red zone, it becomes the Donald Parham show. Between the 20s, it's Gerald Everett.
By the way, Dalton Schultz been balling out a little bit in Houston. I picked him up on my fantasy team yesterday morning, and man, did he deliver. Yesterday, he had 4 for 61 and a touchdown. He scored a touchdown in 3 straight weeks.
Oh, nice.
So 21 catches for 215 on the year, 10 a catch for Dalton.
It's nice to have a tight end who can produce in the red zone.
Wow.
Make some catches in the red zone. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're taking a shot at 3 people.
Well,
We have 3 tight ends.
I mean, I'm taking a shot at 3 people. That would be, Mike McCarthy and Shoddy and
Will McClay.
No, not Will.
Oh, not Will. Of course,
not Will.
Of course, it wouldn't fit your agenda.
No. Look,
off your tight end draft pick that you love so much.
No. I believe in the tight ends. I think that what you need to see with the. There's a savvy about Schultz that he knew how to work in tight spaces that young tight ends are just not going to know about early. I think it'll come for them at some point. It's just right now you're not going to get that same sort of production. So
they've dropped, 2 touchdowns?
Yeah. I mean, Schoonmaker's been a big part of that. Ferguson's dropped some. Hendershot. It's not been good from the young tight ends at all. Defensive side of the ball. So the offense for the Chargers, this is going to be something where they are going to take shots tonight. I think that they probably feel like the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to feel like they absolutely can take advantage of some stuff with the Cowboys down the field. And so they may set some of that up with the running game, but this will be something where I think Kellen wants to put on display what their passing attack can do. On the other side, if the Cowboys want to have success, they've got to be able to protect Dak, and they've got to, it feels like we say it every week, I know, but they've got to take shots this week.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not going to happen probably.
Why do you think?
Because Brandon Staley, I was talking with someone over the weekend, football opinion I trust a lot.
Go
look at Dak's stat line the last Charger game, because Brandon Staley plays like this shell coverage. Keep everything in front. So I think his stat line was like 23 or 27 for like 240. You know what I mean? 23 to 27, not a lot of yards to go along with that. So that if you're waiting for this offense to break out and let's go ahead and take some shots, I don't know. I don't know if they play this shell coverage if that's going to happen. But they're bad pass defense.
Yeah, this is a team that is dead last in the NFL in passing yards allowed and is 14th 4th to last in terms of net yards per attempt. So that's included with sack yardage and everything else, which they get some pressure. They've got Bosa. They've got Khalil Mack Bosa, who's, by the way, questionable tonight, coming back from a toe injury.
Shocker. Always hurt like their receivers. You know what will fix a lot of this? You know the number one play that the Dallas Cowboys need? For Mike McCarthy's sake, they need Brandon Cooks on a slant to the house.
Yeah.
That's the perfect play for the Dallas Cowboys. He catches a slant, outruns everyone for 50, 60, and scores. That is what they need desperately.
That's the West Coast. That's it right there, Hit the slant, split the safeties.
If you're able to hit, like you say, they're Cooks on a slant. If you're able to get some of these quick routes to CD and CD is able to go, I will be very interested to see if they've been affected at all by CD's complaints and the discussion around it. And if they feel, and I know Jerry said, I don't necessarily need to see that. I want to get the ball around. But, Mike McCarthy said, I like that he's pissed off. I like that he wants to do more. I'll be really interested to see if they're trying to get the ball to CD early, because they've done that before with guys like Michael Gallup when they want to build up their confidence.
And CD was asked on Friday, have you and Dak discussed your frustration that we've seen?
Absolutely. I told him straight up, and he came up to me. He was like, if you have a problem with anything, just come up to me and we'll talk about it. I don't care how it really necessarily looks to the media, right? But the media is going to do what the media does anyway. If I stand by myself, it's a problem. If I go talk to him and I flare my hands a little bit, it's a problem, right? So at the end of the day, it's just getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting everything understood, and both parties to be on the same page. And me and Dak, we did that first day back, so we can have all week, fresh slate, get active.
Good answer.
And I think and Dak repeated the same sort of thing, which I think is smart, which is recognize the media may catch us going at it at the sideline. I'd rather you air out what's wrong and what you're not feeling comfortable with in the game than just bottle it up because you're worried about optics. Just talk to me and we'll deal with whatever, because the media will make an issue of however your body language is anyway.
Fan replay brought to you by Ciroc Vodka here on 105.3 The Fan.
So this is a secondary that really struggles. They do a little bit of the Dan Quinn thing. Dan Quinn, he likes to rotate all these safeties in. They play with, 4 or 5 safeties rotating. A lot of those safeties come up, play in the box as hybrid linebackers. The Chargers will do a lot of that too. Brandon Staley will have a lot of these safeties come up. He'll have 3 safeties on the field at a time, one of them lining up in the box, playing as a linebacker essentially next to Kenneth Murray. You can take advantage of what is a pretty undisciplined defense. They've got talented players, and they've got guys who can make plays with athleticism, and when it hits, when they guess right, it's impressive. But this is a group that looks like they're guessing a lot and doesn't look like they're really fundamentally sound at times. And I think if you want to take advantage with some of the stuff in the passing game, motion, bunches and scatter, do some stuff with, double moves, I think you can take advantage of the Chargers, and that may be your best opportunity to try and get something going in the passing game.